If we adopt these two spiritual principles, Jesus gave both of them to us, right? They can resolve any issue in your life. Any hurt, any guilt, any shame, anything you've done, anything that's been done to you. I've walked people through these two principles, and they have resolved, or very well in the process of resolving, some of the most horrendous experiences. Jesus said, practice these two, and anything can be reconciled.
Yes.
So repentance is to have a heartfelt sorrow, and this is more on the vertical dimension, on the horizontal dimension between person. It's to have a heartfelt sorrow for what I have done to hurt you or myself, and to make a full commitment to work on changing that behavior. In our language, it's taking responsibility for my protective behavior and apologizing for it and learning to do it differently. I do a lot of couples work, and oftentimes the couple will come in and say, if only she would stop doing this, our marriage would be better. And he'll say, but if she would stop doing this, it'll get better. And I say, look, we're only going to make progress is if you take responsibility for what you're doing.
Right.
So, for example, symbolically, if Holly slapped me 3 times, I slapped her once, she slapped me 3 times. In my mind, she's got 6 in, I got 1. She's owed at least 2 or 3, right? It's just how we think. But what repentance is I'm sorry for slapping you. And I'm going to work on learning to do it differently. It's her job to work on her part.
Right.
Because repentance and, let's go to forgiveness for a second. Forgiveness is to honestly acknowledge how I've been hurt by others and being willing to lay down all the emotional pain connected to that on the altar to be removed. Or in our language, it's acknowledging my wounded child and releasing the pain.
Yeah.
So if Ron and I were friends and say Ron slapped me across the face and then he went about his business, and the next day I think about, man, I can't believe Ron slapped me, I'm going to get him one time. And the next day I think about it again, man, Ron got me, I'm going to get him back. The next day, for 30 days consecutively, I think about it 1 time a day.
Right.
After 30 days, how many times has he slapped me?
30.
31.
31.
Right? See, forgiveness is not for Ron, it's for me.
Right.
Because if I get it out of my heart, I save myself slap after slap after slap. If I get it out of my heart on the 3rd day, then I have 4 slaps instead of 31. See, Jesus' genius is that he understood that forgiveness and repentance sets our hearts free. Mm-hmm. Our hearts go from hard hearts to pure hearts, and then we can see God.
Yes.
It's interesting, one time I was meditating on the Lord's Prayer, and I was listening, and he said, Our Father who art in heaven. All the words of the prayer are addressed to the Father. And then all of a sudden, one time he shifts the focus and he says, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And I was like, Lord, why did you shift the focus in that one sentence? Mm. And I felt like he said was, unforgiveness will block your connection with the Father. Mm-hmm. And once I got that, I began to notice people that I've worked for or worked with. You show me a place where they lost the Lord, and I'll show you a place where they've been wounded and have not recovered from that.
It's 100% in what we do.
And that if they can embrace forgiveness and repentance, like I said, we can restore anything. In fact, you practice these 2 principles in your relational life, and it'll usher in the kingdom of heaven.
Right.
And the opposite is true too. If you want hell in your relationship, never say you're sorry and never forgive. I promise, lots of hell there. 2 simple principles that usher in the presence of God.